Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the news briefing for this Wednesday. Well, we have some major road work to talk about today, road projects that are going to be impacting commuters in both Santa Cruz County plus in Monterey County. Our friend Kevin Drabinski from Caltrans is here to talk about a closure that's going to be overnight tonight, plus a big project next weekend. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining the briefing.
Thank you for your hospitality and your gracious invitation. We're going to start off for a first of all, I'd like to start off and recommend and refer people to the Caltrans Quick Map app. Caltrans Quick Map, either in a desktop version or on your phone, will provide real-time updates for all conditions for all state highways throughout the state. So if you ever need to know the condition of a state highway, it's the same as many travel apps where under road conditions, you're probably checking the first 5 boxes to see how traffic is, what the delays are, if there's any construction or CHP events going on. So I recommend the Caltrans app. Any updates that we provide on projects, please know that you can go with that information. If you need to check along the way, that's the place to go. I'm going to start off for a longer term project that is in San Benito County, but I think both these projects we'll talk about today point out the regional nature of work that we do. If there's construction, your neighbor's doing construction down the road, it affects your own street only. But if it's on your destination route, then it's important that you have this information. So the first project that we're going to highlight is a tree removal project, which begins this Sunday, and it's on southbound US 101. If you can, it's north of Salinas. Is the north end of it is at Highway 156 East. So that's the road that you would take to get into San Juan Bautista or Hollister. And there will be a closure of a single lane of southbound US 101 overnight. The usual hours are 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. But on Sundays, we start an hour later. So this Sunday, November 3rd, we'll start at 9 p.m. and it'll be reduced to a single lane until 6 a.m. Then Monday through Thursday, it'll be starting that single lane closure southbound US 101 from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. We anticipate, and the contractor's really getting in there and starting that work just this Sunday, but we estimate about 3 weeks of these overnight closures in the southbound direction. And then when that southbound shoulder work is done, we'll move over to the northbound US 101, and we'll have again overnight single lane closures Sunday through Thursday nights in the northbound direction. So that's the update. We just want to make sure that people build that information into their travel plans because even overnight, that southbound US 101 corridor from 156 East down to down through the project area, it still receives a lot of volume overnight. So we've done a lot of outreach to the surrounding communities, to our agricultural communities, so they can get the word out as well. So that's the first thing to be aware of. And the second thing is not in Monterey County, but in Santa Cruz County at the junction of Highway 1 and Highway 17, where we'll have an overnight closures of portions of the Fishhook, where the junction of Highway 1 and Highway 17. Those of you who are familiar with the Fishhook, it's aptly named. It looks as if you had a plate of spaghetti and put a fork in it and twisted it. That's about how the road looks when you're going northbound 1. There will be two ways in which you'll have to take brief detours. That's if you're northbound 1, but you want to head up to Half Moon Bay, you'll have to go up 17 for one exit, get off, and then get back on and head that direction. And the other detour is if you're coming down from the Half Moon Bay, Davenport area, and you want to continue on 17, you'll have to come a little farther down southbound 1, get off at Morrissey and do the same thing, reverse your travel and head back and catch 17 that way. Again, Quick Map, that application is your best way of navigating with real-time road information. And we hope that we're eliminating the element of surprise for some folks out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm so glad you brought up Quick Maps because I think people who haven't used it really are missing out. We use in the emergency management department during times of emergency, we use those Quick Maps all the time. And so it doesn't have to be an emergency though to find out, is there an accident on the road that you're wanting to take? Can you talk a little bit about what is on there? So I know you can layer Quick Maps and find out what you need to know.
Yeah, I would say in brief that like many travel apps, this one you're going to look for the road condition box and you're going to check the first 5 boxes. And that's going to give you CHP incidents, any road closures, construction, and then the green and red for how the traffic is flowing through the area. But it's updated real time. And for example, if you looked at it coming up on Veterans Day, the 11th of November, you'd look and see, oh, we don't have work on US 101 Veterans Day because we don't do it over the holiday. But also if we get a change in schedule, if there's an equipment change, or if there's a weather-related change, that's where you can see it as you're negotiating and getting through that area.
Thank you so much for talking about this. And there's nothing worse than seeing the red line on on WhatsApp if
True.
you're going somewhere.
True.
But appreciate anyway. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully, all those projects go smoothly for everyone.
Thank you for your invitation, your hospitality.
Our next topic is Halloween. It is tomorrow, and it is a great night of fun, really for everyone, but especially for children. But safety has to go along with that fun. We're very pleased to have Commander Andy Rosas from the Sheriff's Department to talk about some safety tips for everyone on Halloween. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Maya. Thanks for having us as always. Yeah, we're going to talk about a few things that have to deal with Halloween, and they're going to vary from everything from the trick-or-treating to traffic and a couple of other things that I want to toss in there. But for our basic trick-or-treaters, we also always have to keep safety in mind. Trick-or-treaters should always be going in groups. Parents should come along, be part of that experience, build some memories with your kids. So have parents or a responsible adult accompany young children on their trick-or-treating excursions. But then we know we have some of these older kids that just don't want mom and dad or a responsible adult around with us. In those particular cases, trick-or-treat as a group. Go out, have fun, but get a group of your friends together and do it together. Maybe map out a safe route, let your parents know what general area you're going to be in, and then set a timeline for yourself so that if kids don't come back, parents know, hey, I might want to go out and start looking for my kids and see where they are. Hopefully, everything is good. Of course, the basics, go trick-or-treating at houses that are well lit. Porch lights should be on. It should be clearly visible to get to the door and safe. If it doesn't look safe or something just doesn't look right, go to the next house. There's lots of houses that are giving away candy on Halloween night. Try to get your kids to trick-or-treat during the day. It's definitely safer. You're more visible. If you do go into the darkness hours, make sure that somebody has a flashlight, or start adding some reflective tape to your kids' costumes, glow sticks, flashing lights. Anything that's bright and makes you more visible is going to be safer for everyone as you go out and trick-or-treat during the night. Really important here is to make sure that kids are not going into anybody's home or anyone who they do not know. Not safe at all. Remain at the porch at all times. Don't go past the threshold of the door. This is another reason why it's important for parents or a responsible adult to accompany their kids. Walk all the way up to the door with your kids. Don't stand back at the sidewalk where they disappear from view for a few seconds. Just go up to the door with them. It's just a few more steps. Get your steps in, your exercise, and ensure that everyone's safe. Let's talk about some really quick traffic-related things. These are common sense, but we have to remind people during Halloween it's a little bit different. If you're out driving around at nighttime or even in the daytime, you need to be prepared to react to that unexpected child that's going to run right out into the roadway from between 2 parked cars, or at a corner where they just think it's safe to go across the street. A lot of these kids are out trick-or-treating. They don't usually go out for walks. They're not used to looking both ways for to cross the street. And if they're unattended, which we're telling people not to leave your kids unattended, they may dart out into the road. And as a driver, you need to be prepared to react to that and keep everyone safe. For those that are walking, make sure you cross only at street corners, never run between parked cars. Don't run diagonally across streets unless that intersection is specifically designated to allow for diagonal crossing. We do have some of those intersections in Monterey County. And most importantly, make sure you look in all directions before you cross the street. Look left, look right, look left and right again before you proceed across the road. Really important for the parents and responsible adults. We talked about making sure your kids are visible, use reflective tape, lights, anything you can do to brighten your kids and make them more visible. That includes yourself. Put some lights on yourself, make yourself visible as well. And make sure you call 911 if you see anything suspicious or something that just doesn't look right, something that you feel deserves law enforcement attention. Report that to us and report it to us immediately. We all have cell phones. Call 911 if something doesn't look good or it catches your attention. Of course, the most obvious one that we tell parents every year, make sure your kids aren't eating the candy while they're trick-or-treating. Get home in a well-lit area, check the candy, make sure it's wrapped, that the wrapping hasn't been tampered with. If there's a homemade product in there or something that's unwrapped, it's better to be safe than sorry. Throw it out. You've got lots of other candy to dig into once it's been checked. And another thing to keep in mind is parents need to look at the labels on their candy. There, unfortunately, are now products that are out there that appear to be candy. They appear to be very popular brands of candy, but in reality, they're actually marijuana-laced edibles. And so they may appear to be one of your favorite candy bars or one of your favorite snacks or treats, but you look at the label and it actually is labeled as containing THC. So make sure parents are looking at that. We have had cases in Monterey County and in some of our cities where some of these products have been taken from people, unfortunately, right around Halloween time. We want to make sure that nobody gets sick or hurt as a result of these products. Some of the other things that I just wanted to toss in here are Megan's Law. Some of you may have heard that Monterey County Sheriffs recently did some enforcement with relation to some of our sex offenders in Monterey County, and 4 people were taken into custody. One of these individuals was actually in possession of controlled substances for sales and a unregistered firearm. People inquired afterwards as to how you could protect yourself from these individuals. And of course, it's always being attentive, but we have to remember that there is a Megan's Law website. meganslaw.ca.gov allows you to go in there on the internet, type in an address, type in your general neighborhood, and it will show you the locations of convicted sex offenders where their information is required by law to be provided to the community. Those houses, the specific addresses and information about these individuals is public information. And if you see some of those individuals or some of these houses in your area, those are definitely houses you want to avoid. That is public information. If you have any questions, the Megan's Law website has answers to a lot of those questions. And the last thing I want to bring up, Maya, is something that we've kind of noticed an uptick with, and we're hoping to educate the public on a global scale on this one. There is a fascination with social media nowadays where people take to social media to report things that are happening instead of calling 911. And that is just a recipe for disaster. It could be something minor. If you see something, we'll give you an example. Yesterday, there was a report of several loud booms that were heard out in the Corral de Tierra area. And we started getting inquiries from the local media saying, hey, we're seeing all these reports on Nextdoor, the Ring app. People are talking about these booms and that it shook their house tremendously. And I hadn't heard about it. So when I looked into it, I contacted our dispatch and we received one single phone call regarding these booms. Yet there were hundreds of posts on social media that these booms were heard. And it's really important. We don't know what those booms are. We did send deputies out to the area. We looked into it. And unfortunately, we weren't able to determine what caused this. But maybe from those hundreds of people, which could be thousands of people, if you think about it, maybe one of them knew a little bit more that they could have provided to us and said, hey, it's more in this area, or I think it could have been that, and led us to it. That's just a suspicious sound that was heard. But we have had incidents where people say, hey, I saw this suspicious looking car or this suspicious looking person. And 2, 3, 4 days later, when the information finally gets to the sheriff's office, we find out that that was a critical piece of information that could have helped us in solving something that was pretty significant. So we can't stress enough that if you see something, say something. If it doesn't look right, if you think it needs law enforcement attention, let us know. Call your dispatch center, call 911 if it's an emergency, and let us know. Start getting law enforcement and emergency services back involved. We don't monitor our social media pages 24 hours a day. So when you start posting on social media, there's a delay in there. And especially if it's an emergency situation, you see something that law enforcement has to be a part of, call 911 immediately instead of going to social media. You can worry about social media later, but get those emergency services to you started as soon as possible.
Gosh, Andy, that is just really super information. It's the Halloween stuff, but also Facebook is not 911. So really, really great information on that. One question though, kind of going back to the Halloween tips, you talked about inspecting candy, homemade items. What would you tell people who want to put together those homemade items? All of us, when we were younger, or we know people who make like caramel apples or popcorn or something, and their heart is in the right place, but maybe it's just not the best way to go anymore.
That's actually the case. Times have changed, and unfortunately, we do know that there are people out there with bad intentions, and that's why we have to be careful. I think parents are being more responsible when it comes to the definitely unwrapped products. But if it's homemade, I can tell you I'm one of those individuals that will toss out anything that's homemade. However, there is an exception to this, and that is if you know the person that is giving you this homemade treat. If it's your neighbor that you've known for 30 years and you get along very well with them, if it's grandma that's handing out treats and she gives them to your kids or the grandkids, if it's somebody reputable that you know and that you trust, well, you still have to make that decision, but I'm sure that you're going to accept grandma's cookies or your Aunt May's cookies, so just kind of use some common sense to it. If you don't know where they came from, though, it's better to be safe than sorry. And just toss it out and go for some of the sealed, wrapped goodies that you're getting that night.
Thank you so much, Andy, for these tips. Great advice, especially glowing up the adults. I can't wait to see the adults glowed up at my door tomorrow night, too.
Absolutely. And hopefully the weather cooperates.
Hope so, too. Thank you, Andy, so much.
Thank you.
Each year, our county parks invites applications for projects to protect and enhance our local wildlife. Now, projects in the past have included everything from marine protections to reduction of lead bullets, and this year's application period for these projects is coming up. We're very pleased to have our Chief of Parks, Bryan Flores, here to talk about this enhancement and protection program. Hi, Bryan.
Hi, Maya. Thank you very much. Welcome, members of the public, media, county staff. So we have every year the Monterey County Fish and Game Advisory Commission acknowledges that wildlife needs help, and they're able to fund projects with the support of the Board of Supervisors through monies that are acquired through fish and game violation settlements and fines and fees. And so the main reason the Fish and Game Commission exists is to award, or not necessarily award, but make the recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, who awards these funds to members of the public, other governmental agencies, nonprofits, and organizations that try to benefit wildlife. These projects have run the gamut for everything from, wildlife safe barbed wire fencing projects where they're doing barbed wire fencing for range cattle that don't have the little barbs on them that can injure wildlife, to fish ladders at some of the local fish hatcheries, to nesting boxes for waterfowl, for owls, things like that, to equipment for outdoor education programs, to equipment for the Audubon Society for birding, binoculars, things like that. So it really runs the gamut, and there is a California Fish and Game Code section which is governmental code section 13103 that outlines about 15 different items that can be acquired through these propagation grant funds. And so our deadline is coming up. We did extend the deadline this year a couple of weeks. It is November 1st at 5 p.m. You can go online to Monterey County or the County of Monterey Parks page and get information there. We've done newspaper ads in the Monterey Weekly and the King City Rustler. We're looking to really solicit and get members of the public and organizations to apply for these grants. We typically give out about $50,000 a year. Anywhere from 8 to 15 different organizations receive those funds, and the funds go from anywhere from nominal few $100s all the way up to a few $1,000s, and in some instances where the Fish and Game Commission assisted one of the fish hatcheries with a project that was going to repair some of the fish hatchery equipment, it was a $15,000 project. So these projects, like I said, kind of run the gamut of wildlife. And wildlife, just for everybody's information, according to California Fish and Game Code, is not only the deer and the elk and the bobcats and the mountain lions, but everything down to our pollinator insects, to amphibians and reptiles, aquatic creatures, as well as terrestrial creatures. And then also for habitat and environment work. So we've had individuals apply to plant native plants that are beneficial to insects and other wildlife, to doing rehab on watersheds that have been polluted or damaged. So it's all encompassing. Anything to do with wildlife pretty much is able to be funded. So I greatly am requesting that the public, apply for these grants. They are there. You can do something great for the wildlife. We all can appreciate the wildlife. Property owners and government agencies, we don't own the wildlife. The wildlife come and go between property boundaries, and they don't have their internal GIS and stay in one location. So what one landowner does greatly impact wildlife that visit other properties. I also want to take this moment to mention that the Fish and Game Commission, which is a commission of 15 individuals, 3 individuals from each supervisorial district, we do have vacancies on this commission to help with this important work. We have 4 current vacancies, 1 in supervisorial district 1, which is Supervisor Alejo's district, 1 in Supervisor Wendy Root Askew's district, District 4, and 2 in Supervisor Chris Lopez's district, which is District 3. So if you live in those districts, contact the board member directly at their office, or you can go to the county, the board clerk's webpage and also apply to be a commission member on that site. So yeah, I don't really have any additional information, Maya, unless you have questions.
I do have a question. One of the things that you were encouraging groups or individuals to come up with a project or think about a project. It might be a little daunting for someone who may not have done this before, but has a great idea, but isn't really sure if it could work out. Am I just one person? Do I need to be a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout or a 4-H or something? Well, how would you encourage kind of your average person to say, hey, I have this great idea. Maybe this is something I could do.
Sure. I mean, everybody has wildlife in their property or backyards or out their front door. Everything from the songbirds, which many are federally and state protected wildlife. Think about, kind of, kids probably have the best ideas for how, to help wildlife, but think back to, when you're a kid and you saw wildlife, whether it was a deer or a bobcat or a bird, etc., and, envision maybe the difficulties that they have living within the human populations, as our communities develop and spread into the countryside per se. Wildlife are greatly impacted. Many, are able to survive, quite easily amongst us, but others need some help, bird feeders, You know, if a classroom, you know, Mrs. Jones' third grade class wanted to do, you know, bird feeders for the school, that's something that could be funded. My son's school volunteered their time. His class last year, they built owl boxes for Toro Park and nesting boxes for owls, which help us, you know, greatly reduce our rodent problems. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something, you know, specific to a property. It can be something where an individual or an agency works with other individuals, other agencies. But, you know, basically anything that can benefit wildlife or wildlife habitat, you know, has a good chance of being funded. The what applicants will do, they'll turn in their application, and then on December 10th, they'll come to the Fish and Game Commission meeting at 6 p.m. and provide a 5 to 10 minute presentation on their project. And then that night, the commission will weigh everything out and make their recommendation that I carry forward to the Board of Supervisors. So, yeah, basically anything, like I said, from insects to, you know, large terrestrial animals like elk and mountain lions and bears and things like that. So I would not suggest creating, you know, a bear feeding box or something like that in your backyard.
I think that's called a deer.
Yeah. But everything from, you know, supplying salt licks for deer,
Right.
you know, something that's easy. You can go to the farm supply shop, pick up ready-made things and put them out there in the property, and, you know, the deer can benefit from that. So they can be as extensive as one might want to very, you know, I don't want to say rudimentary, but very basic projects that get funded.
So hopefully people get their thinking caps on, think about what they'd like to do, and then go to the park's website and get that information. Bryan, thanks so much for sharing with this.
And
There's always
the application
yeah.
is very simple. It is a 2-page application. I've applied for many grants working with the county. Most are, you know, a book, and you have to have all kinds of documentation and bids and, you know, contracts already in place. This is very, very simple. It's a 2-page application. You enter into a very simple agreement with the county that you're going to use these monies for the intended purpose, do a 1-page summary at the end of your project, and you're done. It's a very simple project, but one that can have, you know, very, you know, large and dramatic impacts for our wildlife.
We look forward to hearing what the
2 more
project ends
days.
up being this year.
4
4
days.
days. Thank
All right,
you so
thank
much,
you.
Bryan. Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Well, now we're going to take some time to talk about what services are available for our county's older population and how to access them with our colleague, Diana Jimenez from our Social Services Department. If you have an older family member or friends with needs, this will be really good information to share. Hi, Diana. Thanks very much for being here today.
Hi, Maya, and thank you for the opportunity to share about the programs available through our Aging and Adult Services branch. Am I able to share my screen?
Yeah, please.
Are you able to see screen-wise?
Yes.
Perfect.
We see everything.
Perfect. Okay. Let me start. So we are
Diana, we can also see your notes. So just so you know, it's not in presentation mode.
Let me switch over.
Thank you, Laura. You beat me to it.
Hold on. Sorry about that. Stop sharing. Are you still seeing my notes?
Nope, we see it.
Okay,
Just
good.
your presentation. Thanks for working that out, Diana.
Sorry, I got nervous a bit. It's like, oh my God, can I do this under pressure? So one of the first programs I'd like to share about is the Adult Protective Services. This is a mandated program. The purpose of this program is to investigate allegations of abuse against adults 60 and over and dependent adults ages 18 to 54 who are developmentally, physically, or mentally disabled. We get an average of 2,900 reports of abuse annually. And so we only have a really small team of 13 social workers that do these investigations. They also connect these vulnerable adults and victims of abuse with support services, and they collaborate with law enforcement, medical and financial, government, and community agencies. The types of abuse we get include self-neglect, financial abuse and exploitation, psychological abuse like verbal assault, threats, and causing fear, and neglect by others. Those are our top 4 types of abuse that are reported to us that we investigate. The next program that we oversee is the In-Home Supportive Services Program. This program is implemented by 27 IHSS social workers who assess the needed hours for eligible IHSS recipients. They determine the number of hours to be paid to providers. And eligibility for this program is 1, you have to be on Medi-Cal, 2, a California resident, and 3, have a certification from your doctor that you need assistance with the IHSS program services, which include domestic services like house cleaning, meal preparation, laundry, grocery shopping, and then personal care like help with bathing, grooming, dressing, and then other things like taking individuals to medical appointments. In IHSS here in Monterey County, we have over 6,500 individuals that receive IHSS, and we have over 6,000 IHSS providers. We pay out an average of $13.7 million monthly. And most of our providers are family members caring for their loved ones, 79%. Of those, 72% are live-in relatives, and of those, 33 are parents. Another program that we oversee is the IHSS Public Authority. This is a program that basically does background checks for individuals who are interested in becoming an IHSS provider. They maintain a registry that helps match our IHSS recipients with an appropriate IHSS provider. And they also provide training opportunities, and wages are negotiated. And just for your information, currently the pay rate for IHSS providers is $18.74, and it will increase to $19.24 effective January. Another program is information and referral assistance. This one is a really important free program that over 1,200 individuals call us asking, where do we get services for seniors or individuals with disabilities? And the services we provide, again, are free, and they assist not just seniors and individuals with disabilities, but also their caregivers and families. If you can imagine, caregivers have such a huge responsibility, and sometimes you just don't know where to go. And so this particular unit of 6 social workers really help connect our community with the type of services they need and provide them the information that they need. Our top requests for services include caregiver support, Medi-Cal information, homelessness, such as eviction and housing resources. And that's no surprise because individuals 50 and over is the fastest growing homeless population that we know of in Monterey County, statewide, and nationally. Our IRA team, Information Referral Assistance Program, also works with the Monterey County Weekly to develop this excellent Living Well resource book. If you want to know anything and everything about all the resources available in Monterey County for seniors and individuals with disability, this is a great resource for you. It's available both in hard copy and also online through our website. Our Area Agency on Aging is another program we oversee and are responsible for monitoring, assessing, planning, and administering funding that comes from the Older Americans Act and the Older Californians Act through the California Department of Aging. The focus for this particular program services includes individuals 60 and over, persons with disability, family caregivers, with the emphasis on older adults who are low income, minority, limited English speaking, and or reside in rural areas. We are one of 33 area agency on aging. The AAA, which unfortunately a lot of people confuse us with the auto insurance company, but we're very different. And the types of programs that are funded is programs that help with supportive services, congregate meals, home delivered meals, health promotion, family caregiver, elder abuse prevention, and ombudsman. The top 5 service needs that we invest in include housing. This is what our community is telling us. You know, as we know, rent is very expensive. So imagine being a senior with an income of $1,300 or less. It's very difficult to manage, really even surviving under those terms. And we did these focus groups. All these quotes that are listed on this page come from seniors from South and North County who shared, you know, what their needs are and some of their experiences. And I do remember one elderly woman from South County telling me that because she's receives less than $1,000 in Social Security, she rents one room, and then she has to go to all the food distribution sites just to have food to eat so she doesn't go hungry. So there's a lot of need there. There's also a lot of isolation, especially with elders who don't have a strong family support system. So having areas where they can congregate, like for meals or senior programs, is really important to address those things. There are 5 other programs that we manage that are not mandated, but we apply for them through grants. The first one I'd like to highlight is the Aging and Disability Resource Connection program. This is a basically service delivery model that we implement and where there's no wrong door. If you can imagine, you know, our government systems are so complicated to navigate. So imagine being a senior or elderly person or somebody with not many resources. You just don't know who to call. And so the goal is, no matter who they call, like within the Department of Social Services, maybe they call like a Medi-Cal worker, but they really wanted an IHSS worker. They don't just say, well, you got the wrong number, call so-and-so, or call this number. We actually do warm hands-off. And we also work with our community partners to do the same. So in fact, we work with over 100 local agencies that come together every 2 months to just share resources related specifically to seniors and individuals with disabilities, so that we build this network of service providers that know about each other, and we're not working in isolation, so that when we do get those calls, we at least know who to refer these family members or clients to and make it easier for them to access services. Home Safe program is a homeless intervention program that is a special grant through the California Department of Social Services. This particular program is specifically for victims or clients of adult protective services who are at risk or are experiencing homelessness and are victims of abuse as well. And so what we provide under this program is intensive case management, referrals to community resources, housing navigation and assistance, and financial assistance like with their rent, their mortgage arrears, temporary housing, security deposits, utility payments, and we work in partnership with Cecil, who we contract with to help with the housing navigation. The next program is the Housing Disability Advocacy Program. It's similar to the one I just shared previously, the Home Safe program. The difference with this one is that it focuses on individuals who have some type of disability and have no income. So the goal is to connect them with Social Security, and not just connect them, but help them navigate that system so they can have at least some SSI benefits. And also, we help with housing navigation. This is another contract we have with Cecil. The Social Security Supplemental Advocacy Unit is a unit of 4 social workers within DSS that work with the Home Safe and the Home HDAP program to help the seniors or individuals that were referred to us who don't have any income, and they, really handhold them through the whole process of Social Security benefits. They're experts in that process and really help with the navigation and getting them benefits approved. AgeWise is a new grant that we applied for, and this grant is specifically for individuals who have been referred to our Adult Protective Services program, who also have mental health issues. The goal of this program is to prevent 5150s and or hospitalizations or visits to ER. It's a model that is based on San Bernardino's AgeWise program. They have a huge team of over 22 mental health professionals that work with their most at-risk population, seniors over the age of 60 with mental health issues that are known to probably everyone in their area, the law enforcement, hospitals, and of course, mental health. They through this program and this collaborative effort, they were able to reduce the number of times individuals go in for a 5150 or call for ER services substantially. I think it was like by 50%, saving the county millions of dollars. So we're trying to implement this very small pilot program to see how well it works. And it's a partnership with our local behavioral health branch. And so why does this matter, and why do all these programs matter, and why are they needed? Well, the number of socially, economically vulnerable adults and individuals with disabilities who rely on our county programs as they age will continue to grow. And that's just based on the population trend that is growing. It's expected that by 2030, 1 in 4 individuals in California will be age 60 and over. And, again, we're living longer. And when we live longer, there's more complications to our health and our resources diminish. Here in Monterey County, we have a senior population of 22%. Of that population, over 13,000, almost 14,000 are veterans. Of that veteran population, 57% are over the age of 65. So seniors, again, are the fastest growing population group, outnumbering individuals 18 and under. We're living longer, more diverse, and experiencing increasingly complex challenges that includes homelessness, financial vulnerability, caregiving shortages, mental health, medical and physical challenges, isolation, loneliness, and Alzheimer's, of course, Alzheimer's and dementia. Here in Monterey County, we have approximately over 36,000 individuals with disabilities who are age 18 and over. That represents in California, 1 in 4 individuals. The numbers of seniors living at home that rely on support services is increasing. So if you can imagine, either for yourselves or for your parents or a loved one that is already up there in age, most of us, I would think, and most of them do not want to be in a long-term care facility, especially if you're only on Medi-Cal and can't afford those really plush, nice, expensive facilities. We want to be home. We want to age at home. And so to do that, family caregivers, individuals who need that kind of help, need the support. And although we do a lot with our programs, we know that we can't do it all, right? We need local service providers to assist us as we age, and with our disability community members. And we want to thrive, right? We don't want to just safely live at home, but we want to live with dignity for as long as possible. But we also want to be able to thrive as we age. That ends my presentation, and this last page has a lot of contact information. So all these programs that I mentioned can be accessed through our main number, 755-4466. We also have a website that you can go to for reporting of suspected abuse of elders or individuals with disabilities. You can call us 24/7. There's the main number again is 755-4466. And then after hours, it's 770-7541. IHSS is the same main number. What I added on the bottom is the local ombudsman program. I've been getting a lot of calls lately on concerns about loved ones in long-term care facilities. And so we actually, even though DSS, we get funding for this program, we contract with the Alliance on Aging to run it for us. So the number that I have here says Alliance on Aging because of that, but it's the local ombuds program. APS does not investigate concerns with long-term care facility, really is the responsibility of the ombudsman program. And their number is 655-1334. And then also you can file a complaint with the California Department of Social Services regarding any licensed community care facility if you suspect some abuse that's happening there or neglect. And I provided the number there as well as their email address. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Diana, this is just a tremendous amount of information. I think people know how much social services does, but they don't really, until they see, and this is just one section, until they see it, they don't really know how much is provided. I'm really glad you put that last slide up because I think people aren't sure where to start. They may have a need and they may think, oh, well, this seems like it would be social services. I'm hoping that you would encourage people, where to start if they have a question, what number to call, and that there really is no wrong question to ask, because if it isn't you, you would know where to send them.
Yes, absolutely. So that main number that I mentioned, 755-4466, that's the number you should call for any one of these programs. And then we can help navigate individuals that call to the right program. And as I said, we really do try to do a warm handoff. So we're just not giving you another number, but making sure that you have a connection. And with our IRA team, if you call them, which is through this main number, they also may follow up with you to say, were you able to access someone? Did you get the information you needed? So they do some follow-up. Even though it's a small team, it's a mighty team, and they really do their best to make sure that we get the answers and connect family members and individuals, our elders and individuals with disability with the services that they need to access.
I'm also wondering if you have off the top of your head that information and referral number, because that just seemed like a great place. If someone has a service question and they're not sure whether they might qualify or if that service is available, that just sounds like a great place to start just to ask.
It's the same number, 755-4466.
Okay.
Dial that number. Our clerical support staff is cross-trained in all these different programs, and they know exactly who to connect them with, or at least where to start.
This is just fantastic information. It's so great to see that all these programs are really out there for everyone to use and that everyone can see really how much goes on behind the scenes. You say small and mighty, and you don't even have to say small. You should just say mighty, because the social services staff really does a tremendous job for members of the community. And I really appreciate you coming here and showing their work.
Thank you again for the opportunity. It is important for the community to know, where do you go for these types of programs? And there's so much need out there. I mean, as we know, the need always outnumbers the services available, but we try our best. And like I said, we can't thank enough our community partners like the Alliance on Aging, who runs the Ombudsman program. We invest a lot of money with Meals on Wheels from Salinas Valley and Monterey Peninsula to help provide those congregate meals and also go-to meals. There's a lot of partners. I mean, we even invest a lot of money with Senior Legal Services. So, if they call us, at least we know where to connect them to, because the community agencies are our partners in helping to meet the need.
And one question, one of the slides had some focus group information, some responses about needs. The question is, would there be more focus groups happening? Are these some things that you do periodically?
Yes, so part of the Area Agency on Aging, the AAA's responsibility is to do needs assessments in the community to make sure the money that we're getting from the state and the categories that they have that we have to invest in, because we don't have complete flexibility to just put the money where our community is saying that it's needed, but at least it's helps us to tell the state, yeah, this money, and those categories of priority spending that you're telling us we need to spend the money on are still on point. And, our community is saying the same thing. So every 4 years, we have to do needs assessments either through surveys, and those quotes and actually all the pictures that we have on this particular PowerPoint came from our focus groups in South County, North County last year that we conducted. And then also some of our distributions of iPads for individuals who didn't have any way to communicate, with their loved ones in this way. And we actually did a partnership with Loaves and Fishes to provide training on how to even use that iPad. We gave away, I think, 350 iPads locally. But what was my point? My point is we do these assessments, so that those were focus groups, quotes from the focus groups. And then we also conducted surveys. The state did one for all of the 33 AAAs in the county. The dilemma with the state one, though, what we found out, people that responded were mainly individuals who had an income of over 70,000, were not minority, lived in good neighborhoods, which is good. It's good to know that some of our seniors are thriving and they're well off financially, but because of the funding focus, we needed to also know, well, what are the individuals who are middle class or low income, seniors and individuals with disability, what are their needs and what are their struggles that we can try to help with. And so we did a local survey as well, and we were able to get over 600 responses. Currently, the Alliance on Aging is doing more focus groups in South County and in North County. So we'll add that to the list. They should be done, I think, by December of this year. So we'll have added information. But anyways, to your question, we do have to do needs assessments, surveys, focus groups. Every 4 years, we have to do a formal one, a report that goes to the Board of Supervisors and also to the California State Department for approval. And then we try to do things annually as well to assess needs.
And I have seen the Alliance's promotion of their focus groups on social media. So residents who are in those areas, if they happen to see those and they see that those are coming up, really take the opportunity to join in and, make their concerns known.
Yes, that will be very important. I just attended theirs last week. I lose track of time, in Soledad, and it was well attended. They had like almost 40 individuals from Soledad that came and shared their input. They were really engaged, just like the ones we did last year. So it really is important to hear people's voices about what they feel the need is.
Diana, thank you so much for taking the time and walking through all of this with us. And again, a shout out to the whole Social Services Department for all of their great work.
Thank you so much.
And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next week, and we'll see you then.